Hello, welcome back to Metric Hub. Today I'm going to do a revision office practice N6, a full paper revision. Right. So let's go to question 1.1. Various options are given as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question number 1.11 to 1.110 in the answer book. 1.11. This is the computer's short-term memory where the data that the processor is currently using is being stored. This is what you call RAM, 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 a random access memory, a short-term memory, random access memory. Let's go to 1.12. Sexual harassment is any kind of sexual behavior that makes another person feel uncomfortable and includes verbal harassment, extreme coercion or blackmail, indirect physical harassment. So all of the above are true. All of the above are true, which is D. Go to 1.13. The process whereby a position is expanded horizontally by adding duties. This implies that the position is broadened by a task that were previously completed by other people. That's what you call job enlargement. This is what you call job enlargement when the job is the position is expanded horizontally. So let's go to 1.14. This is not an example of input device, right? So a camera is an example of an input device. A mouse is an example of an input. Keyboard is an example of an input device. But cloud computing is not an example. An example of what? Input device, right? So 1.15, an act of standing up for one's own rights without affecting the rights of others negatively and expressing wishes, opinions, and feelings directly and honestly. That's what you call assertiveness. Assertiveness, whereby one is able to express his feelings without being aggressive or without affecting the rights of the other people. Right. So let's move on to question 1.16. This person assigns different tasks to teams or individuals in their sections. That's what the person position is the management assistant. Right. So which assign positions at work. Right. So we have the management assistant, the manager, the messenger, the secretary. So the manager is the one who assigns tasks to individuals in his department or section. So it's B. So let's go to 1.15. A simulated situation or a scenario where each person is allocated a role. That's what you call a role play. A role play. A role play whereby each person will be having a role to play. Right. Let's go to 1.18, an approach in which the leaders focus on the task that needs to be performed in order to meet certain goals. That's what we call task-oriented approach, whereby they focus on achieving the goal. Right, let's go to 1.19. Dash is when someone of the opposite sex uses his or her position to exploit somebody else by putting undue pressure on him or her and not accepting no for an answer. That's what we call sexual harassment. sexual harassment. Right. Let's go to 1.110. Which one of the following will not influence the identification of a specific market segment? Right. Which one of the following will not influence the identification of a specific market segment? That's what we call a physiological factor. Right? Physiological factor does not influence the direction of specific market segments. But if when you're talking about geographical factor, whereby we're talking about the location where the customers are, demographic, we are talking about the sex, the age groups, right, and the occupational, right. Let's move on to 1.2. Indicate the following. Indicate whether the following statements are true or false. Right, let's go to 1.21. Gossip in the workplace is a day-to-day activity and completely harmless. That's true. That's true. It's a day-to-day activity. That's a true statement. Right. 1.22. In planning, a manager must analyze all the facts represented to him or her to see if it is possible to reach the objectives. Right. 1.22. In planning, a manager must analyze all the facts presented to him or her to see if it is possible to reach the objective. That's true. You're supposed to analyze. You're supposed to analyze. Right. So 1.23, environmental factors influencing a business do not include the cultural environment or political environment. That's false. That's false. They are also included. They are also included, right? Cultural environment being on the social environment. Right, let's go to 1.24. 1.24. Static electricity is generated when there is no friction between two or more objects. It flows in a current through an electrical cable like normal electricity. That's false. There is need for a friction for static electricity to be generated. So this is false. This is false. Right. False. But let's go to 1.25. The company policy has many different sections and covers elements such as dress code, health and safety, and conflict management. That's true. That's true. Right. So let's go to 1.26. 1.26. Learning ability entails that the learning ability learning ability um, learning ability entails that the consumer has the ability to see the advantages of the product and to buy it. That's true. That's true. Learning ability, right? It helps the customer to see the advantages of the product so that he can buy it. Right, let's go to 1.27. References in a CV entail adding names, surnames, and reliable contact details for your family. That's false. Details, it includes adding names, surnames, and reliable details of people who can be your referrals, right? For example, maybe your previous employer, or maybe your your current colleague, right, at the workplace can be your referral, right? Let's go to 1.28. The purpose of security clearance is to determine whether the person would be able to comply with the physical requirements of the job. That's false. That's false. Security clearance, it is there to identify if A person has no criminal records. Right, let's go to 1.29. Salary scales are an attempt to introduce fairness and order into the system of uh, remunerating employees within an organization. Right. So that's true. That's true. Security salary scales, they are there to introduce fairness in terms of the what the remuneration. Right. Let's go to 1.210. The Hawthorne experience is a study that looked at how the physical environment in which workers had to work influenced their performance and productivity. That's true. It is studying how the physical environment influenced the workers' what? Performance and productivity. Let's go to question 1.3. Choose the description from column B that matches description in column A. Right. So 1.31, 1.31, right. Open or unstructured interview. Open or unstructured interview. So these are the interviews. The interview has no present questions prepared beforehand. The interviewer reacts on answers that the applicant gives on each question. So that's true. That's C, right? What about 1.32 structured interview? Right, structured interviews are whereby detailed information is gathered from from the applicant. It is also called the in-depth interview, whereby detailed information is gathered, right? Is collected from the what? From the interview, from the interviewee or the applicant, right? Let's go to 1.33 standardized interview. Standardized interview, right? These interviews follows a specific pattern and each applicant's answers are judged according to the same standards. That's D. D. Walk-in interviews. Walk-in interviews, right? Prospective applicants acquire information about the advertised vacancy at the time of collecting the application from the business. That's A. Right. 1.35 stress interview. Right. During this interview, an openly hostile attitude is taken towards the applicant by the interviewer. That's true. Just to exert pressure, right? So the main purpose of this stress interview is to 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 know or to test the applicant's ability to what? To make decisions, and also his intelligence and his ability to think fast, right? So a hostile attitude is taken towards the applicant so that the pressure can be exerted on the what? On the applicant, right? Let's go to question 3. Answer any 5 questions in the section, right? So let's go to question 2, right? Look at the diagram below and answer the questions that follows. We have the CEO, which is the higher level management, the highest level management, and then we have line of managers, which is what we call first line management, and the line of what management assistant, which is the what? The operational level, right? Sorry, that's not the operational, but the uh, supervisory management, right? Supervisory management, right? Let's go to 2.1. Distinguish between vertical and horizontal perspectives as illustrated above. Right. Distinguish 2.1. Distinguish between a vertical and horizontal perspectives as illustrated above. Right, so let's start with the vertical level 2.1, the vertical level. So the vertical level, it sometimes goes up, and it also goes down. Right. This is what we call the upward vertical, the upward vertical. This one is the downward vertical, right? So vertical level, it is when management it is running from top management to lower level management, right? We have what we call vertical downwards, whereby it runs from top level to the lower level management. And sometimes, right, and then we have upwards vertical, whereby it runs from lower level, it runs from lower level to a higher level management. Right. And then let's discuss horizontal, right? This is horizontal, right? Here it is when the organization is divided into separate sections or departments that operate on the same level. The organization is divided into departments All right, so these departments, they operate at the same level. That operates at the same level. So let's go to 2.2. 2.2. Briefly discuss the basic skills that are required by the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, to maximize productivity and efficiency. So here we're going to identify skills, basic skills. 2.1, right? Basic skills that are required by the executive office includes one, human relation skills. Human relation skills which is the ability to work with other people, the ability to work with others. Ability to work with others. Right. And then another skill is what you call technical skills. Technical skill, right? Which is the ability to use a particular kind of knowledge. Ability to use a particular ability to use a particular knowledge, or a technique. Right? To reach a goal. Right? And then lastly, conceptual skill. Conceptual skill, which is the ability to view the organization and its part in a holistic manner. Ability to view the organization and its parts in a holistic manner. That's what we call conceptual skills. So the manager has to possess these skills: human relations skills, the ability to work with others; technical skills, the ability to use a particular knowledge or a technique; and then conceptual skill, which is the ability to view the organization and its part in a holistic manner. But let's go to question 2.3. Advise the above manager on 5 important capabilities or skills that managers should have. So we are talking about the skills that the manager should possess. Skills that the manager should possess. 2.4, right? 2.3, sorry. 2.3. 2.3. Right. The manager should have interpersonal skills, right? Suppose we have the ability to motivate staff members. Suppose we have the ability to motivate employees, and also suppose we have the ability to communicate, which is what we call communication skills. Is what we call communication skills. And also you're supposed to be able to select the right person to delegate tasks to. Ability to select the right person to delegate to. Supposed also to have the ability to reprimand a person in a positive way. Ready to reprimand a person. Ability to reprimand a person. Right. So let's move on to the next question, which is 2.4. 2.4. Provide another name for the above organizational structure. Right. So this organizational structure is also called an organogram. Organogram. It's also called. This is also called an organogram. Organogram or organogram. Organogram. Right. So let's go to 2.4 to 2.5. Define the following electronic office terms. We have what to call a software. So a software are programs on your computer. Computer programs. Computer programs. Right. Industrial espionage. That's spying aimed at stealing opposition, command secret, and information. Spying, when you spy, right, aimed at stealing, the opposition or a competitor secrets. And information. And then what is a webcam? Is a webcam, it is a video camera that is connected to the computer. This one, a webcam is a video camera connected to a computer. A video camera connected to a computer, that's what you call a webcam. Right. Let's go to question 3. All right. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna read the paragraph. Right, I'm just gonna answer the questions. Right. Let's go to 3.1. List the 5 important events management phases or steps. Important event management phases. Right, so we're going to list them. This includes research, design, plan, implement, and evaluate. Right, so these are the 5 important event management steps: research, design, plan, implement, and evaluate. Let's go to 3.2. 3.2. How would the management assistant run a successful corporate function for executives? How would the management assistant run a successful corporate function for executive? Use the following headlines as a guideline, right? So how would they carry 3.21 task before the event? Task before the event. What they should do is 3.21, right? They should research and brainstorm. They should research and brainstorm. Before the event, and they should find a suitable venue. Find a suitable venue. They should also sign contracts with the suppliers. With the suppliers. They should also choose a suitable event team. Should choose a suitable event team. They should plan every event element in detail. They should plan every event element in detail. They should also follow the event plan that they have created. And lastly, they keep to the time scheduled. They should keep to the time scheduled. Let's go to 2.3. How would the management assistant run a successful corporate function for executive? 3.22 task during the event. Right. Task during the event. 2.3. 2.3. So 3.22. 3.22. Right. Task before the event. Okay, how will the management assistant run a successful corporate function for executive? And use the following heading as a guideline. Task during the event. Right. Task during the event. Right. They're supposed to what? Lead and guide subordinates to deliver work of high standards. They're supposed to lead and guide subordinates or employees 2, they're supposed to monitor the event and make changes as needed. All right. Monitor the event and make changes. Right. And then 3, they should be friendly and remain professional. They should be friendly and remain professional. Right. They are supposed also to keep a written record of the changes. Five, they are supposed to explain orders, instructions, and decisions very well. And decisions very well. So let's go to 3.3. 3.3. Mention 5 important aspects regarding the duties of a supervisor to create a pleasant working atmosphere. 3.3, mention 5 important aspects regarding the duties of a supervisor to create a pleasant working environment. So we are going to mention 5 aspects of the supervisor's duties to create a pleasant environment. So 1, supposed to make sure that the subordinates are well trained. Are well trained. 2, are supposed to allow subordinates to work without interference. 3, is supposed to take the needs of the subordinates into consideration. 'Of employees or subordinates into consideration. Into consideration. And then 4, They should keep employees up to date with their progress. With their progress. Right. And lastly, supposed to take the needs of the employees into account. Employees or into account. Supposed to consider the needs of employees. Right. Let's go to 3.4. 3.4. Business position their products within the target market. Which three groups take part in the market? Right, we have the suppliers, another group, which is the competitors, and the customers. Go to question 4. Internal recruitment internal recruitment is when the government tries to find the best candidate to fill a post by looking at their own workers first. Tablet 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages of internal recruitment. Question 4. Question 4. Open one. You're supposed to tabulate. Tabulating means you're supposed to draw a table and compare and make a comparison. Drawing a table and making a comparison. Right. So here I'm gonna list advantages. 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 And disadvantages of internal recruitment. So advantages, one of the advantages is, one, it motivates workers. Employees. It motivates employees since they will know that if they work hard, they will be promoted. And you can find that it is not expensive. It is not expensive. It is not expensive. Right. Since we are just recruiting within the organization, so advertisement, it is not necessary. Right. So the risk of appointing the wrong person is reduced. The wrong person is reduced, and also it perceives the culture of the organization. It perceives the culture of the organization. But let's go to disadvantages. It includes, one, no new fresh ideas. no new fresh ideas are going to be brought into the organization, right? And you can find that they create conflicts among employees. Remember, when they are maybe competing for a post, one might manage to get the post. So conflict might continue among colleagues. And then 3, can find that it leaves a gap in the existing workforce. Since that person who has been promoted will leave, there will be a vacant. There will be a vacant, right? Whereby that vacant will need to be fulfilled, to be filled. All right. And then we can find that old cases of friction or disappointments are continued. Old cases of disagreement within the employees are continued. And lastly, this results in an inflexible business culture. This will result in an inflexible business culture. This will result in an inflexible business culture. Right. So let's move on to 4.2. Provide 3 basic characteristics of an interview. And 2, provide basic characteristics of an interview. Right. And 2, characteristics of an interview. Right. So this includes 1, supposed to be polite. Supposed to be polite and able to put nervous candidates at ease. It's supposed to be able to evaluate and summarize the situation. And summarize the situation is able to remain in control. Supposed to be able to remain in control. Without belittling or embarrassing the candidate. supposed to be able to interpret non-verbal communication. Supposed to be able to interpret non-verbal communication. And then lastly, I'm supposed to evaluate the candidate objectively. Objectively. And decide on the best. And decide on the best or on the suitable candidate. Let's go to 4.2. 4.3. 4.3. Discuss 8 unethical advertising practices. Unethical advertising practices. Unethical advertising practices. Right. So this includes 1, misuse of children. Misuse of children. Right. Might be emotional. Emotionally influencing a consumer's feelings, as well as criticism of competitors. Encouraging false needs. Encouraging false needs. Or as well as misleading advertising. Whereby they end up saying something which is not real, just to manipulate the customers. Let's go to question 5. Question 5. Right. Management consultancy, CC, brochures for all your management needs. Right. 5.11. What type of a business ownership is listed above? This is what to call a closed corporation. This is what you call a closed corporation. Right, let's go to 5.12. 5.12. Indicate two founding procedures of the above mentioned business. You can find that it is formed by at least 1 to 10 people. And also, the founders, they draw up a founding statement.
Yeah, sure.
They draw up a founding statement, which will be signed by each member. Which will be signed by each member. Right. Let's go to question 5.13. 5.13. Mention 8 visual elements that make up the corporate identity of a business. So these elements includes the logo, the company logo, the company slogan, the company corporate colors, the company's font or type of face. It also includes positioning, as well as the jingles. Not forgetting the symbols. Right, so these are the visual elements that make up the corporate identity of your what? Your business. Right, let's go to 5.14. Recommend 5 procedures to be followed by the above company in satisfying the needs of the clients or client's needs. Satisfying customer or client's needs. Right. So we're going to mention procedures. So these procedures includes the company has to identify the exact need of the customers. Once they identify the need, they're supposed to provide different options and ways of addressing or satisfying them. Once they've done that, they have to provide as much information as possible to speed up the decision-making process. And then they're supposed to outline the product or service of your organization to the client or customers to encourage him or her to decide in favor of your organization. Right? The company is to influence the client or the customers by reminding them of the relationship your company wishes to establish with them or him, right? And then they have to try to understand that the behavior of the customers in the decision-making process and do not influence them with unethical methods. Right? So these are the first steps, that procedures that the organization has to follow, right? Let's go to 5.2. 5.2. 5.2. 5.2, a consultation is when a person is led to self-sight and improvement by means of selected questions during conversations. Give 4 guidelines for the management of process on how to use consultation as a management styles. 5.2. Let me just write it up where there is a space. Right. So 1, they're supposed to listen carefully and to try to understand the worker's point of view. They're supposed to listen carefully and try to understand the worker's point of view. Right. They're supposed to lead the customers, or sorry, lead the workers to select the best choice of solution. To select the best choice of solution. They're supposed to be available to support and encourage them. Support and encourage them. And also they are supposed to understand the human behavior. They're supposed to, the organization to understand the human behavior. And lastly, they are supposed to support the subordinates who has to adapt to new changes or new things. Right. Support the subordinates who has to adapt to new changes. To accept the change. Let's go to question 6. Question 6. You are a potential candidate for a post that is advertised at your college. Design a curriculum vitae CV that you use to accompany your application form. Use the following headings as a guideline. Right. So here you're supposed to use what to write a CV. Personal information includes personal information 6.11 6.11. Right. Personal information includes details like the name and the surname, identity, number, residential address, your cell phone number, your email address, as well as your driver's license. So there are so many details that you can include on personal information. Right. Let's move on to 6.12, education and training. Education and training. 6.12, right. Education and training. So information which is included under this heading includes the college where you attended, your diploma, the college where you attended your diploma, two, the course that you did, the subject that you passed or that you did, as well as other trainings. Which includes your certificate that you possess, right, that you have. Let's go to 6.13, employment history. Employment history. Which is information of your previous employers. Information about your previous employers. Right. And then the duration. When did you work for that employer? Until when? Right. So let's move on to 6.14, additional skills and experience. Additional skills and experience. 6.14. So we are going to mention skills that you have and the experiences. Experience, right. Which skills, which experience do we have? Right. And then 6.15, references. 6.15 references. So this includes the people that you want, or the people that, those people that you have agreed to be references, right? Whereby the title of the people, name and surname, also includes the contact details, the position that they have in their organization, and the company name, the name of the company that they are working for. Right. So let's go to 6.2. Explain in detail. Explain in detail the 7 formal steps to be followed when disciplinary action is taken against an employee. So here there are steps. The steps that needs to be taken. Steps that needs to be taken during the disciplinary action. Action taken during disciplinary procedure. Action taken during disciplinary procedure. Right. So this includes one, to identify the incident or alleged breach of contract. 2, investigate the incident. Investigate the incident. 3, you discuss the matter with the employee. Discuss the matter with the employee. 5, and inform you of your intention to call a disciplinary hearing. Or you need to advise the employee, advise the employee to advise the employee on his right, on his right to a representative. On his right to a representative. Right. After that, you formulate charges and prepare evidence. Prepare evidence. And then 6, you're supposed to save the notice to attend a disciplinary hearing. You need to save the notice to attend a disciplinary hearing. And then 7, you need to arrange for an independent chairperson to precise the proceedings. Arrange for an independent chairperson to preside the proceedings. Audit, you need to conduct the hearing according to the prescribed procedures. And then you give a verdict. Give a verdict. Of guilty or not guilty. And then if you have to ask if they are aggravating factors, right? And then after that, impose sanction. Impose a sanction. And advise on the procedure for appeal. On the procedure for appeal. Right. So let's go to the last question. Right. Question 7. On the day of an event, the secretary or a management assistant will have to boost the business name and gain a reputation of charm. A harsh approach will give a black mark to the business popularity. Substitute the statement with 7 important traits to have as a secretary when showing courtesy in liaising with clients. So I'm going to list important traits. 1.1. 1. You need to meet the client promptly. Number 2, you need to greet them in a friendly manner. Make sure that you put a smile on your face. With a smile. Right. You're supposed to invite them to state their reason for the business call. Their reason for a business call. You need to listen to them attentively. You're supposed to show interest in their business. You're supposed to be patient. You're supposed to speak with a pleasant voice. And also treat them as important people. Go to 7.2. 7.21. Define the term rewards as an external motivating factor. Right. It is the kind of stress that will motivate a person to behave in such a way that he or she relieves the stress condition. Right. So let's go to 7.2 to provide 4 examples or ways on how an employee can be positively rewarded. Right. Can be positively rewarded by a salary increase, 2, by a performance bonus, as well as a recognition. Or an acknowledgement, or Incentives. Incentives. But let's move on to 7.3. What are the 5 benefits of task enlargement as a method to develop and motivate sectorial personnel? Benefits of task enlargement. 1, to introduces what? The new work methods. 2, it eliminates monotony, whereby one will be doing one thing every day. That's monotony. So it eliminates monotony, which leads to boredom, resulting in absenteeism. And also, a person will be able to master total workload at an improved pace. And also, this method will help the employee to gain experience and devotion. To help the employee to gain experience and devotion. Right. Let's move on to 7.4. Great things in business are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people. Steve Jobs. Analyze the above quote and you can get 4 points to remember when working as a team in any business environment. 4 points when working as a team. Right. 7.4. But one is to remember that the leader of the team is responsible for every team member. Can I take this back? So every member is expected to deliver their best. Every member is expected to deliver their best. Every member is expected to deliver their best. And also you're supposed to be enthusiastic. You're supposed to be patient. With members of the team. You're supposed to be loyal to your colleagues. You're supposed to be loyal to your colleagues. You need to get to know people. You need to get to know people in your team. Learn to accept the team members and be able to be tolerant.